Greetings, folks. AnIolairGhorm here with the World of Warships replay, this time featuring AngryAce and the Tier 10 German heavy cruiser, the Hindenburg. He is divisioned with Piss and Napalm and the Tier 10 Japanese destroyer, the Shimakaze, and with myself and the Tier 10 U.S. Navy light cruiser, the Worcester. We are in a domination battle on Shatter, and each team brings 4 battleships, 4 cruisers, and 4 destroyers to the match. As far as ship upgrades and commander skills for AngryAce's Hindenburg, there's a heavy emphasis on AA since he mounts the German hydroacoustic search consumable, and he takes the gun firing systems modification 2 in slot 6 for better range. Highlights of this battle: well, first I will sometimes refer to AngryAce as just Ace during the commentary. Secondly, AngryAce is working on the final stages of his Hindenburg unique upgrade. That's the reason he's sailing the ship today. This will be a very close match, and our gameplay will respond to some choices made particularly early by some of our teammates, and you'll see that we're already typing in the chat and pinging on the map about that. So on to the gameplay. So if you notice, the 2 westernmost destroyers that we had on our team have headed towards Bravo instead of moving to contest Alpha. And we typed into chat and pinged on the map because we were quite frustrated by this, with myself in the Worcester and Piss and Napalm in the Shimakaze already headed to Bravo. We would have plenty of representation there. And we have a Kitakaze on the Charlie side with AngryAce backing up the westernmost destroyer. I'm sorry, the easternmost destroyer on that flank. So we're a little bit frustrated by the commitment of those destroyers. The Benson has now moved back towards Alpha, but it's a little bit too late because most of the remaining flank on the west side basically follow the destroyers, and to some extent that's the right thing to do. You want to support your destroyers, but now our western side is quite disorganized, and you'll also notice that we have a Tier 10 battleship that still has yet to load into the game, or is very shortly going to load into the game. So we're quite disorganized on the west side. So AngryAce is going to work here on the east flank, putting fire onto these ships that are on the south side of Charlie. This is fairly typical of early play for Hindenburg players. They tend to work from range, use their very good guns with very high velocity to be able to hit targets at range, and then as targets are reduced, they can use their near battleship like characteristics in their torpedo systems to move in for the kill on other targets in late game. So we're going to see a lot of long range gunnery that's going on here. You'll notice that we have secured Bravo successfully, and I have positioned myself between in the Worcester between Bravo and Charlie to provide obviously artillery support, but also radar support to discourage other opposing destroyers from attempting to either move into Bravo or to drive them out of Charlie. Our west flank, again, is still quite disorganized. Piss and Napalm elected to move over to the western side to provide some support and try to keep that western flank from completely collapsing and allowing the opposing team to basically overrun it and then flanking us from the west side. So again, a lot of long-range gunnery at this point. AngryAce is going to just focus on these targets that he can see on the south side of Charlie. We have one of our Corfurists has moved into Bravo, and this is at least in early game. This tends to be kind of a suicide run for battleships because with no, well, they have lost 1 destroyer, but the B cap is very congested with islands, and it makes sort of a prime spot for battleships to be taken out, and even a lot of cruisers, because there isn't a lot of room to maneuver, and they can get easily focused. And sure enough, we lose the Kurfürst that was in the Bravo cap. We have also lost now the Benson that was on the West cap, and Piss and Napalm, who had previously taken some significant damage from an opposing Worcester and Moskva in the Bravo cap, has been forced to retreat as well. So again, our west flank is quite exposed, and at some point here in the not too distant future, AngryAce is going to move over to the west flank to try to provide some further support. We have successfully secured Charlie, although it continues to be congested. You see myself here in the Worcester on AngryAce's port side. It looks like I'm not carrying camo. I actually am. I'm using the Eagle camo that was earned in the Go Navy event, but for some reason during this replay, that was not rendered. So I am not, in fact, a naked ship on this at this point. So I'm, again, trying to position myself in a way that I can keep opposing destroyers. In fact, we knew that there was a opposing gearing that had attempted to contest Charlie that I suspected was moving back to Bravo, and I will detect him here shortly and put some fire on him. So AngryAce is now in a situation where the east flank is relatively secure. The opposing team, the ships that are on the east side are quite far from the cap and not contesting it. But there are a lot of opponents that are now surrounding and pushing in or towards the Bravo cap. And so AngryAce and I have come over to the Bravo side to put some pressure on the ships that are pushing into Bravo. And you can see fire that myself and the Worcester are sending in on the gearing, and we do get the gearing down and out of the match. Fortunately, I do end up taking a couple of torpedoes from him. I did know the torpedoes were coming, but my positioning wasn't very good, and so I ended up taking a couple of torpedoes here. And myself being in the Worcester, not AngryAce, obviously. So we are losing the Bravo cap. A lot of our heavies are sort of impacted in Charlie. We have a Kurfürst that is on the north side of Bravo. I think he has limited target options other than those that are the opposing team that are pushing through on the west flank. And this is where AngryAce and I are going to help bolster our position on the west flank, get some fire on these opposing destroyers that are pushing through, and basically push them off and try to keep them from pushing through on this flank. So AngryAce and I are putting some pressure on this Akizuki. AngryAce is sending some torpedoes here to discourage the opposition from trying to push around the corner. There's a Z-52, and there was at least one other capital ship on the opposing team that was on that side. So those are basically torpedoes to discourage them from approaching. And between AngryAce and myself, we are going to get the Akizuki out of the match. We're in a position now where we're kind of in full retreat mode a little bit, or near full retreat mode, because the opposing team has made a very strong push into Bravo. Their position is generally quite a bit better than ours. AngryAce has now gotten a very good salvo on this opposing Minotaur. He gets another one with 2 more citadels, takes out the engine, and between his fire and mine, we're going to get this Minotaur out of the match as well. We did lose Piston Napalm in the Shimakaze in the northwest corner of the map. He had put some pressure on the Montana and got a torpedo. Got a torpedo dump on the Montana and ended up flooding him out. So now we've actually, to a large extent, eliminated a big part of the west flank. And AngryAce is going to work from range here and put some pressure on these battleships, on the opposing battleships that are in Bravo, as am I. And again, we are trying to keep them from pushing further in. Neither team holds Bravo at this point, but their presence at Bravo is very strong. We sink their opposing Kurfürst with flooding. We are currently even on the ship count. We have a slight point lead, but not significant, and we're about to lose Bravo here as well. So this ended up being a very close game, with us having a very good presence on the east side and the opposing team having a very strong presence on the west, and things kind of getting mixed up here in the center. This is our Musashi. We're now down on ships, trying to get this opposing Richelieu out of the match as well. He's quite low. We also have a very low health Henri, which is in the center of Bravo, and he will go down here in a moment as well, evening up the ship count. Yeah, and there he goes. We have retained a very slim lead. There, AngryAce's fire burns out the Richelieu, but we've regained the ship lead. We did have a very narrow point lead. We've improved that point lead, but we still now only control one cap. So the opposing team has that advantage, and AngryAce is now in a position where he's going to be working one-on-one against this Friedrich. The Friedrich doesn't even have his guns pointed at AngryAce, and so AngryAce is going to be able to farm some significant damage off of this battleship with essentially no opposition. Looks like he doesn't even have his secondaries activated on AngryAce. I don't know if he doesn't have a secondary build and they just don't reach out to this range, or he hasn't set AngryAce as a target with his secondaries. The battleship player makes a pretty rookie mistake here in putting out a single fire. And so once AngryAce is able to get another fire going on the battleship, that fire will burn for a good long time. You can see here that the battleship player does not have his secondary set on AngryAce. He's got him set on something else. I'm not sure what he's got him targeted on. Maybe the Takao? Or the Des Moines, rather? Not sure. Okay, so there's another fire set on the Friedrich. Now we see that the opposing Z-52 has just appeared very briefly. You'll notice that AngryAce has switched to armor piercing here because the German 203mm AP is very potent against broadside targets, including broadside battleships. German battleships in particular are very prone to full penetrating damage from heavy cruiser AP shells. AngryAce obviously here wants to focus first on getting the destroyer out of the match. He's activated Hydro in anticipation that there are torpedoes coming. Now the battleship is paying full attention to AngryAce, has a secondary set on him, and is turning his guns towards AngryAce. Now, the battleship here can overmatch the bow and stern of the Hindenburg, but AngryAce is going to maintain a very good profile here and make it hard for the battleship to get decent damage on Ace. Ace has almost got the battleship down now. He's burning out, and I think he just burns out here. Maybe he gets one more salvo off. Oh, no. In fact, I think he was expecting that the battleship would have gone down by already, but he damage controlled with just a little over 1,000 hit points, and so AngryAce is now having to put fire back on him to make sure that the battleship is taken out of the match. We are even on ships. You can see that we are, prior to sinking the Friedrich, we were almost even on points. We've now regained a fairly material lead, but again, we are losing the Bravo cap. We've been trading Bravo between the two teams quite heavily. They've been heavily contested throughout the majority of the match. We have this opposing Moskva that is now pushing into Bravo, and you'll notice my position in the Worcester on the northeast side of Bravo, and that will be important here. We have a Kurfürst, but he's very wounded, and with as little health as he has, a single HE salvo from the Moskva has the potential to finish him off. So he has to be a little bit careful here. There will be some complaints by our allies about the Kurfürst sort of, quote, running from the Moskva. Yeah, I can kind of see where that complaint comes from, but at the same time, I think the Kurfürst was probably looking to get into concealment, get another heal in before he re-engaged, because he really is only 1 or 2 salvos away from death at this point. The opposing Worcester has now taken the Charlie cap. So we retained Bravo, but we've lost Charlie, and AngryAce is going to move into the Alpha cap here because we need to build some insurance that we can try to win the game. You'll notice that both cruisers on the opposing team are quite healthy, and in particular the Worcester, and the Worcester is now putting fire on the on the Kurfürst, and he will be going down here soon. There you see that the Moskva took a very heavy salvo, followed up by another salvo. I fired 2 salvos into the Moskva in very quick succession, got a total of 11 citadels, and was able to finish off the Moskva. The problem I have, though, is that even though I'm bow on with the opposing Worcester, he's going to overmatch my bow with his IFHE shells, and he finishes me off because I was very low health and had used all my heals. We are now capturing Alpha. AngryAce, you'll notice, has used all of his heals as well. We don't know the repair state of the opposing Worcester, but we do know the opposing Worcester did have probably about 3/4 of his health. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. We have now fallen behind because we had lost Bravo for a fairly significant amount of time, and now that we're even on ships, we were behind. We are now behind on the points. We have just captured Alpha as well, so that will help. But this will really come down to a battle of these 2 tier 10 cruisers. You see a lot of good game comments being thrown into chat. Yes, this was a good fought battle. A number of players on both teams were very heavy positive influences for their teams. And here we go with the final engagement of the battle to figure out who is going to end up winning this match. So, any bets you want to take on this before the match ends? The Worcester is almost completely full health. AngryAce has about half health. He's obviously holding his repair party here. Doesn't want, even though he does have 2 fires going. There is the high caliber. We've almost caught up on points, but it's really going to come down to the battle here. The Worcester makes the fatal mistake of turning broadside to a German heavy cruiser, takes 3 citadels, and with this next salvo is going to be ended by AngryAce. So a very good battle, well fought by both teams. Hats off to AngryAce, obviously. He rightfully earned top XP for our team, earning nearly 3.4k in base XP. He did 232k in damage, got 4 kills, earned high caliber, Confederate, and Dreadnought, and so our hats off to him. So I hope you enjoyed the video and the commentary. Please do leave your comments below, and as always, we hope to see you out there and wish you happy sailing.